It was good to be back out here again and get started. It was a good feeling. It felt like they picked up right where we left off in San Antonio, and obviously some changes, some guys that aren't here, some new faces. But in terms of the energy and the effort and the focus, I thought it was a good start for us. Certainly will continue to get better. I'll address a couple of personnel things with you first. Devin Lucian is no longer with the football program. He's decided to go a different direction. I thought I knew what that direction was, but as of this morning, I don't know. But he will not be a part of this program anymore. Ahmad Harris wasn't out here today. He's got an off-the-field issue that he's trying to take care of, and hopefully he'll be back out here soon, but I don't have anything definitive on that. I'll talk about these 4 new kids. Zach Bateman, who hadn't been on the field with us before. I thought, he's a big, good-looking kid, moved around well. It's just going to take him a little bit of time to get up to speed. Josh Rosen was out here, got some throws. The way we're going to rotate our quarterbacks through the first couple weeks of spring, we're going to focus on 2 a day, getting the majority of the reps so that they can really get a concentrated group of plays. Today was not one of Josh's days. Josh Woods, he came in Sunday night, checked into the dorms, was out on the field yesterday morning at 6 o'clock for a run. But I think he'll adapt. He's a very, very smart young man, and I thought he moved well out there today. And then Nate Metters was the other new face. And, I don't want to be the instant evaluator, but I like the way he moves his body, and it doesn't seem too big for him, really, for any of those freshmen. So that's exciting. We have a couple position changes. Colby Seibert is going to play tight end for us. He's slimmed down. It's a position that he's played in the past. It's something he expressed an interest in doing, and we're going to give him a look there. You want to get a guy like that on the field. I mean, he's just a kid that really wants to contribute to this team, and that might be a place where he can do it. I thought for one practice he looked good. We moved Dwight Williams from linebacker back to safety. Hard to tell how he did today. I know he flashed a couple times in one-on-one, and I saw him make plays on the ball, so we'll see how he progresses there. Watching him in the individual drills and his footwork, I think that he's probably got the movement skills to be able to do some things for us there. So I'm glad we're able to find a place for him, and I think it fits his body type and where he's at physically better right now. And then Miles Jack, we're going to work him this spring some at inside linebacker, what we call the jack position, as well as a little bit of outside. But we play so much nickel defense, and he plays inside and nickel, that it's really an easy adjustment for him to go to that spot and play. So we'll see how he looks there. It gets him in the middle of the field where we can utilize his speed and things like that. If there was a disadvantage, some of the things that he does on the outside puts him in man-to-man coverage situations, and he's a little less involved with that when he's in the middle of the defense. Some injury things. Stephen Manfro was out here, went through all the individual and the pat and go, and looked good. I didn't really notice a limp. It was great to see him back out here. I think he's really working hard and doing well. Randall, as you saw, participated in a red jersey. He's coming off both shoulders. He was granted an extra year of eligibility, which is great. The thing with Randall is to just keep the reins on him so he doesn't go too hard. But having him in their red jersey should help, and I've just got to continually remind him to be careful and take care of business that way. It was good to see Simon back out here today. He worked at right tackle, and he just looked more like Simon. He looks like he's trimmed down. He's not gimping and limping around like he was last year. So I think he's on the right path to recovery, and it's good to see. Denzel Fisher was back out here, hadn't been out here for quite a while. Ryan Davis was back out here doing some things. It was great to see Cam Griffin out here. He probably did more than I thought he was going to be able to do, and I kept checking with our athletic trainer, Ant, and said he was good to go, and looks, once again, one practice, you can't tell the whole story, but he looks athletic and physical, so that's a good thing. I told Austin Roberts in warm-ups, I said, I've never ever seen you on this field moving, because he got hurt during the summer stuff, so I'd never seen him do anything on this field, and he went through the individual, he went through the pat and go, and he moved well. Now he's carrying that brace around, so there's a little bit of a limp, but he looked good. And then Darren Andrews was back out here. The 2 guys that did some things, but not a lot. Kenny Orgioki, he worked on the side with Coach Alosi, and then you probably saw the big green cast on Eli Anku's wrist. He asked me if I could come over here and tell you that he hurt his wrist punching a moose. So he hurt his hand punching a moose. No, he has a little fracture in his navicular. It's been there for a while. It's real painful. Those things heal very slowly, so we're putting him in a cast. He went through all the individual stuff, but when it comes to the contact stuff, we're just going to have to be careful how we progress him. Caleb did some work. By the end of this week, going into next week, he should be full speed. So he's coming along well. So those are the injury updates. And then you probably saw Robert Thomas was out here. Robert's re-enrolled at UCLA to get his degree, which I think is fantastic. Was a great player here, had a great NFL career, had expressed an interest to me in January when I went down to Oceanside to the school where he was working and coming back. So he re-enrolled in UCLA. He's going to get his degree and he's going to work with us. And it's great to have a guy of his caliber out here. Labrado is out here going to work a little bit with the defensive backs. And then Ian Tobler, who medically retired and kind of stayed away from football for a while, has just expressed an interest in getting back out and getting involved, so he was back at it as well. So we're off and running, and that's about it from my end. So, fire away.
Is there a timeline on when Fun might be back?
You know, I'm not allowed to talk about the review process. It is what it is, and until he's able to come back, you know, we're just going to, as a staff, coach those guys up and get them going. But other than that, I really can't comment on that process.
Let's talk a little bit about that. Go ahead, I'm sorry.
Is Blake handling that duties for the spring?
You know, a lot of Blake, Dave Marsh, Noel, KP. You know, it's a conglomeration of guys that are doing it either on the field or in the meeting room. Feel comfortable with whoever's doing it. I mean, it's a good staff, and we'll have it covered.
Coach Mora, you talked a little bit about the quarterbacks in the 2 days. What do you want to accomplish with your goal in seeing these quarterbacks in spring?
I just want to see progress. You know, I don't believe, as we stand here day one, that we'll come out of spring with a clear feeling of who is going to be the guy or what the pecking order is. I'd just like to see them all improve and compete on a daily basis and gain confidence in themselves and watch their teammates and coaches gain confidence in them. You know, obviously Jerry has the edge right now. He's the guy that's played. You know, when you go into a game like he did at Texas and help your team win, not only does that build internal confidence, but your teammates have confidence in you. But I think, you know, just seeing them make progress and set themselves up to go into camp at San Bernardino and really establish who the guy is what we're looking for.
What was your first impression of just seeing Josh Rosen the first time on this field?
You know, it was hard for me just to focus in on him. I watched kind of the one-on-one, and he didn't seem overwhelmed, which is a good thing. I think part of that is the fact that he's been here since, you know, winter quarter, so he's been with these guys. He's been in the weight room. He's been on the field throwing with them, so he's got some familiarity. But, you know, the last time I saw him play was that Corona Centennial game, so he looks kind of the same. You know, the ball comes out of his hand nicely, and like I said, it doesn't seem too big for him, so I think that's a good sign on his first day.
What would you say Josh's biggest challenge is through the spring, especially?
You know, it might just be managing expectations, whether it's his expectations or a staff's expectations or our fans' expectations. You know, realizing that he's really right now supposed to be in high school still. He's out here competing with, you know, some really good players against some really good players. So I think that'll be a challenge. I think he's the type of young man, though, that can handle it. You know, he's pretty well equipped. He's very centered, very grounded, very realistic. And, you know, that's one of the things we loved about him when we recruited him.
What about physically? How much
Vigor?
Yeah. Fit.
You know, I think he's about 6'4", and probably between 206 and 210 pounds. You know, he's been with Coach Alosi now for the last several weeks, working in the strength and conditioning program, and so I know his strength has improved, but I don't know his exact weight. He doesn't look little.
Yeah.
You know, he looks like he fits right in with Jerry and with Ashante and Mike and all those guys. So, you know, I don't want to focus. I mean, I know it's interesting because Josh is the new guy out here, and he comes in, you know, highly acclaimed, but all those guys are right in it, and they're going to fight, and it's going to be great. And one of the things that's interesting is the way they compete with each other but support each other. When you have that type of healthy environment, it's good for everybody, and it's good for your team.
Defensively, what is the coordinated changes for spring?
I think to establish some of the new concepts that we're introducing, and there's not a lot, but sometimes there's just a little bit of change in focus. You know, when you hire a guy like Tom Bradley with the experience that he had, we were sitting in the special teams meeting yesterday, and he turned to me and he said, I saw him tallying things up. He goes, "This is my 39th spring practice. You know, start of spring practice. This is my 4th. You know, and so when you have a guy that's had the success that he's had with the experience that he has, it's just always fun, no matter how established you may be yourself, to hear his ideas and his perceptions and maybe a different take or different angle on how you've always done something. And so it's fun to be around that. And I think our players are refreshed by it as well.
It seemed like he ran quite a few 4-3 concepts at Penn State when he was DC there. Do you foresee maybe more of a shift to that, or just sort of similar stuff to last year?
You know, I'm always hesitant to talk about 4-3-3-4 because we play so much 4-3 principle stuff anyway. I mean, when we go back and we look at our season and the cut-ups of the season, the majority of the time we were in a 4-man front, whether it be because we were over and under out of our, what we used to call our Okie front, or we were in the nickel front, our 4-man nickel front. We are, you know, a considerable amount of time we're in that structure. I think that every 3-4 team has 4-3 concepts in it. So we won't abandon some of the odd stuff we do. Yeah, and you know what? You could really you could just transfer everyone's thinking, if you want, away from 4-3-3-4 and just go, sometimes they're going to be an odd and sometimes they're going to be an even. And does that make sense?
Yeah.
And that can be whether we're in our base defense or in our nickel defense. So it's more kind of a function of how we want to align guys rather than what our philosophy is of being 3-4 or 4-3. It's both. And quite frankly, every team I've ever coached, it's been that way. So was that?
Yeah. No, I got what you're
Tom
saying.
being at Penn State during the Sandusky scandal, did that give you extra pause at all during the hiring process?
I think our university and our athletic department in combination did a tremendous job of just making sure we went through the process in the correct way and did our research. You know, you can use the word vet. We were patient. We talked to a lot of people, and we were sure in our decision that he was the right guy for this job at this time. So I'm very comfortable. You know, as long as the chancellor and the athletic director are comfortable and feel that we've done our due diligence, and I just feel like we've done our due diligence, and I feel confident that we made the right decision.
Other than maybe quarterback, is there a position group that you're taking a close look at, especially this spring? Or?
Secondary, you know, it probably the safety position more than anything. You know, with Randall coming back, seeing where he is, Tahan now being a year further along, Jaleel, you know, putting some weight on. He's gained some weight. I'm really kind of focusing in on the safeties. I think we need to develop defensive line depth. And I think you lose a guy like Noah, that's a hell of a player, potentially a first-round pick. We've got some guys that can fill in. I'm excited to watch Tack McKinley. You know, now remember he came in mid-season, so he never really got that isolated, concentrated technique work and fundamental work that you need to really develop. He kind of hit it on the run. It'll be great to see him over the next 14 practices improve. But as a group, I would say, other than the quarterback situation and seeing where that falls, it would be the secondary, and specifically the safeties.
All right, thanks, guys.
Go ahead.
We'll wrap it up.
When you were in Atlanta, Mike Vick was there. When you went to Seattle, Hasselbeck was there. When's the last time you were really around a quarterback competition as wide open? Brett was waiting in the wings here. When's the last time you were around a
Well, our first year here, you know, if you recall, we had Prince and Brijo and Brett, and we didn't decide on the starter until, like 15 practices into fall. So it was that first year. And now they were all really unknown to me. You know, I didn't know any of those guys. So it was 3 years ago. It was interesting today. You know, it was probably odd for Jake. He's going to talk next. That every game, every competition from that point on, since I've been here, Brett's been the guy. but it didn't seem real awkward to me to look out and see Jerry there, or Shante, or Mike, because I have a familiarity with them. So it'd be fun to see where it goes. All right, thanks. Appreciate you guys.